What up, world? Live on that with Mr. Be Great today, Lamar King Sr. Thank you for tapping in. I'm just gonna jump right in, man. I was watching an interesting video. I may have this clip. Let me see if I got it available. Mike Tomlin is talking about a lot of times how athletes are graded, and he was speaking on the fact that spectators, analysts, other coaches, the fans, the media, they all want to talk about how some athletes may have lack this attribute, or they may lack this, trait, speed, strength, But these are the basics, right? For the most part, everybody in professional sports have the physical capabilities to perform the job. And it's just like in life. Most common people, they have the physical capabilities to live life, to go to work, take care of the kids, whatever, take care of themselves, just be a part of the community, be a part of the overall world. And Mike Tomlin made it a very, very interesting analogy about how when they say things like a wide receiver doesn't have good hand skills, he said that's directly correlated to coaching. Because if you got the physical attributes, we can teach you. As you all know, I have a vast background in sales, mostly direct sales. And I've recruited a lot of people, hired a lot of people, trained, developed others. And I found throughout my tenure, I would much rather have a person with no sales experience than a veteran. And here's the reason why. Because oftentimes people that have been doing things that you've been doing longer, or even, at least the same time or even longer, and sometimes not even as long as you, they'll develop a way of doing things. And that's the way they do it. And I've learned in sales, you have to be a chameleon. Even as with my vast background in sales, if I were to start another sales job or another sales career in another field, I would strip away everything I've learned and learn to do things their way. And it's all about the coaching. And that's how I was coached. Like, you have to learn to unlearn and then apply. Unlearn, relearn, apply. That's the thing about life. And I think we have to continuously do that. We have to continuously to unlearn, relearn, apply. Because what may be true today may not be true tomorrow. What may work today may not work tomorrow. Like, you have to be able to adjust. And back to Tomlin's statement of, when players are graded on attributes that are a direct correlation of coaching, what does that say about coaching then? If you want a player that has all the bells and whistles, they have everything together, they have their whole arsenal down pat, then why would they need a coach? It's just like life. If you had a relationship that had everything going for itself, like everything clicking on all, then what's the use of a relationship? If you want a significant other who has everything together, they have all. And I'm not here to preach on or harp on relationship. I'm just using that as an example. That sometimes you can't have all. Me and a guy, I had a conversation the other day with a friend of mine, and I'm telling him, like, man, when you starting that business, man, you're working for this company, you're putting in, you're the main guy. You're making this company millions of dollars a year, when you can go out and do the exact same thing for yourself and have more time with your family. Like, that's the type of conversations I try to have with my friends. I'm always encouraging them. Like, dude, you the shit. Dude, go step out there on faith. You got this. He has a loving family around to support. They believe in him. I believe in him. He said, well, I gotta get my ducks in a row. I said, man, those ducks never line up. Like, we can't be expecting perfect scenarios before we do things. He said, well, I'm just going to gather them up then. He said, I'm just going to gather them up then. I ain't going to get them in a row. I'm just huddle them up, herd them together. Makes sense, because there are some things you have to do before going into business. You have to, set yourself up for success. But I just wanted to come on and just encourage someone that, you stop looking for the perfect situation. Stop looking for things to be just right. And we have to realize that they're not going to get just right, even when you step into that position or you step into that new role in life. The problems are still going to be there. The situations and the ups and downs are still going to be there. Even when you get that degree, you're still going to go through challenges. Even when you get that career, you're still going to go through even when you get that husband or wife, you're still going to go through things. Like, it's not going to be perfect. And I think we have a false expectation sometimes that everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be just right. We all know some of the best cooking doesn't have a recipe. Because you can't put a measure on true success or true art or true love or true. You can't put these things in a box. And we have to allow ourselves to recognize that it's not going to be perfect. That we will have shortcomings, and guess what? You're going to overcome them. You're going to get past it. You're going to take things to the next level in due time. And I talk about people expecting greatness too early. Greatness is a consistent effort, day in and day out, whether you want to do it or not. Just for example, like I remember having a conversation in one of my groups, one of my Facebook groups, talking about how, fathers, especially active fathers and their daughters. You ever seen the relationship between an active father and his daughter? It's fucking amazing. Like, they are like husband and wife almost, right? They're like, the daughter has just got dad wrapped around her finger, and vice versa. And as that young girl, that young lady grows into adulthood, now I understand that wholeheartedly. Like, that is if and when I have a daughter, shout out to my wife who's 3 months pregnant. But if my daughter is expecting a 20-something-year-old young man to have the attributes of a 40-plus-year-old father or 50-plus-year-old father, that's kind of like setting yourself up for a letdown. Because most 20-year-old young men don't have the experience, don't have the wisdom, don't have the resources as a father of a girl they could potentially be dating or even marrying. Now, I know in the day and age, everybody's, income is, people are making record money as far as like in certain scenarios. Most people, people my parents' age didn't come out of college or high school making the type of money that kids today make or that the general population makes. So I understand the monetary part of it is very important, because in this capitalist society, we have to have money. But oftentimes, you got to think about the coaching that child has had. Did that young man have a father in his life that showed him how a woman is supposed to be treated? Or is he going through one of those, first experiences in life with another woman and he just figuring it out on the fly? Because a lot of times that's what's happening. Young boys are in their first situation and they're trying to figure it out on the fly. I'm not making an excuse for them, but it's just lack of knowledge. They don't know. And that's why a lot of times men don't really figure things out or get it together till they're in their 30s, because they've had to go through so many learning experiences that they done messed up by, so many of society standards. or they made the wrong decision. They were indecisive. They weren't clear on the goals that they wanted. They didn't have a vision in mind of what they wanted to take this relationship to. And I think we have to be empathetic, and especially in situations like that, where young lady, I'm sorry to tell you, most 20-year-old young men are not going to be as sharp as pops. They're just not. And I just, that was just a analogy of how everything doesn't have to be perfect. Everything doesn't have to be spot on. Like, we're not in a controlled environment. This world has so many anomalies and so many scenarios and, so many different ways that life can go. So you have to understand that you got to live and you got to be perfectly imperfect in this imperfect world. Because you're not going to have everything together. You're not going to, be 100%. Like, it doesn't generally happen. Do you get lucky sometimes? Do you scratch off a lottery ticket for $10 million sometimes? Some people do. But most people, they have to get it out the mud, so to speak. They have to get out here and make things happen, make changes, make sacrifices, and learn as they live this life, and learn as they go forward into adulthood. Because a lot of times they don't understand or quite get it. And I just want you all to be encouraged at the fact that it's okay if it's not perfect. It's okay if there's some things you need to work on. That's fine. But identifying them and being, brutally honest with yourself, and being, brutally honest in any relationship. If you guys are like me, man, you like to travel, right? You like to, go on trips, have a good time, relax, let your hair down, and it's much needed in this world that in this rat race we live in, where we're always constantly working, and we're constantly trying to provide and find ways to make money and be able to thrive in this society we live in. But say you got a new job and you've already booked that vacation, and you're at the interview. They said, well, we want to hire you. You're hired on this. We want to hire you. We want to get you to HR and get you to fill out your paperwork and all that stuff. Now, if you got a vacation, like this, say if it's today, July 8th, and your vacation is in November, the first thing that most people will do is say, hey, I just want to let you all know, I just started. I haven't acquired any vacation time, but I have booked and paid for a vacation in November. I can get you the dates, but I definitely need, if I can get those days off, we'll be fine. And generally speaking, most jobs will honor the fact that you have told them in advance that there's going to be a conflict in scheduling come November. You're being brutally honest with your employer that, hey, I got a trip set up, so I want to make sure before we start this relationship that you okay with me going to, Cabo in November. Oh, sure, Lamar, no problem. We'll figure that out. We'll go ahead and make sure you get that stuff in, submit it, and we'll take care of that for you. Being honest, and that's, again, it was and just as by example. It wasn't a perfect scenario where a company that's looking for an employee, and they're trying to fill the staff and fill their schedule, where we got someone here making sure we're getting the job done. The job necessarily doesn't want someone who immediately wants time off. That's kind of like a red flag in some instances. Like if you start the job and then you're late the first day, like that's almost, in some instances I've seen in some jobs, if you're late the first day, that's grounds for just instant termination. Because you can't be on time on the first day, then that's again. So the job wants someone there that's gonna, be there to fill that spot. And they don't necessarily want to hire somebody who doesn't, or who's not going to be able to be at work at such time. But being honest to them, before you even get your first hour on the clock, being honest with them, saying, "Hey, I got this coming up. I need this off. If that's okay before we go forward." And I think in situations, even outside of career, relationship, friendship, you know, being brutally honest before things go to another level, being honest about who you are and what the flaws you have, being honest with yourself. Now I know I need to work on this, and just be honest. Like, there's nothing wrong with having flaws. There's nothing wrong with, needing things to improve on. But having the expectation of perfection, you're gonna let yourself down. You're gonna fall short. I can promise you that. And it's all about how you coach yourself, how you coach your kids, how you coach your relationship, your spouse, how y'all have these meetings. You think about it, even in Coach Tomlin, in his whole setting as an NFL coach, they have meeting after meeting. They have game planning. They watch film. They're organized in what they need to get done. They're talking about where they're strong at, where they're weak at, where they need to improve at. And they're trying to fulfill that roster to accomplish those goals. And I think we have to do the same thing in our lives. We have to have meetings. We have to sit down and get organized. We have to sit down and talk about things about as far as what are we strong at, where are we weak at, where do we need to improve at. And if you have to have that conversation with yourself, by all means do so. If you have to have that conversation with your husband or wife, by all means do so. If you have to have that conversation with your children, by all means do so. Even your job, your employer, hey, let's talk. Hey, let's sit down and talk. I was talking to my same buddy. He just recently came back off vacation, the one I was telling you about starting a business. And he said, Lamar, man, I got back to work. I had 18 jobs on my roster. He had been out of work maybe a week. 8 in general, I think he does about 7 to 8 or 8 to 10 a day. He had 18. And I told him, I said, look here, bro, I know it pissed you off. Because as he was telling me the story, he was hot. They don't do nothing. I've been gone. I come back, it's like they dropping everything on me. I said, well, look here, bro, it ain't a time to be argumentative. Right then, that's not a time to buck or just say what you're not gonna do or make a fuss about it. I said, look at it like this. If you came back to work and you had 18 jobs on your roster, guess what? They value you. You are of some value because those jobs went undone when you were out. So now it's time to have a conversation with the management. Like, hey, man, I appreciate y'all. I had a good vacation. Just got back. I see y'all gave me 18 jobs. Ain't no big deal. I can knock those out. But it seems to me if these jobs have been sitting on the book the whole week while I'm out, I'm of more value to this company. Now we need to go back to the drawing board about pay. Leverage that. If proof is in the pudding, they sent you 18 jobs, bro. They value you. They need you. You're an asset to the company. And he knocked all of them out. He said what he had to say, but he knocked them all out. He was upset. He was like, man, this is messed up, yada yada. But he knocked them out. And he got them done in a reasonable time. It didn't take him 11 or 12 o'clock at night. He'd be like, I went in the office the next morning, like, look, I knocked all of them out. Now let's have a conversation. Addressing, hey, sit down. Hey, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about this. Don't just complain about it. Even in relationship, don't complain about what your husband or wife is not doing. Have a conversation. Don't complain about what your kids. Don't just fuss at them and yell at them. Hey, let's have a conversation. Where are you strong at? Where are you weak at? Where do we need to improve? And again, have these meetings with yourself. Because we all have to figure out how we're going to get better. And we can't be expecting perfection in situations where they're impossible to have. It's impossible. But I hope this helped someone. I hope I reached someone and gave someone something to thrive on and go on with their day this morning. It's a wonderful Friday. Just dropping this out here. I want y'all to be encouraged. Understand that Mr. Be Great Today is here to help you understand that life brings on changes, and we're here to help you adapt to those changes. We're here to help you get the mindset together. We're here to help you improve in areas where you may lack at, and you guys help me too. The audience, you guys help me. The feedback I receive from y'all, we're helping each other. And it's all about having those conversations, those uncomfortable conversations that most people don't want to talk about. Stop hiding it in the closet. Bring it to the forefront. Kind of like on the movie 8 Mile when Cheddar Bob told him, said, hey, Rabbit, just rap about, you know what he gonna say. Just rap about yourself. And Ian went out there and just rapped everything about himself, threw himself under the bus, spoke on his flaws, talked about his shortcomings, talked about everything. So when it was time for them to rap, they didn't have anything to say because he had already put it out there. He had already threw all his, pulled all the skeletons out of his closet. And that's what we have to do against the opposition. We have to bring it out to the forefront. Be like, hey, I'm honest about my issue. When most people try to hide and, make it seem like life is perfect. And it's not the case for, 99.9% of the world. And it's okay to have those flaws. It's okay to admit you have flaws. It's okay to bring it to the forefront if you think, if it needs to be. But don't be afraid. Don't expect perfection. Keep thriving. Sit down, have those meetings with your significant other. Have those meetings with your kids. Have those meetings with yourself and your employer or your employees. Like, take hold of your life. Take hold of what you can control. Take hold of you. I love you all. I love you all. Y'all have a wonderful Friday. Hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. Y'all stay tuned. Got a good show coming on tomorrow night. Great interview with my brother who just did 13 years in the federal prison system. It's going to be some great information. It's an awesome, awesome show. So y'all tap in midnight tomorrow night. It's definitely going to be a great show. I love you all. Be great today. Peace.